The Paris Olympics 2024 has just fulfilled Bible prophecy, and everyone is terrified of what is going to happen next. Everyone has begun panicking upon realizing that a very great prophecy has come to pass, leaving many believers ecstatic and unbelievers mortified. It seems like the Paris Olympics 2024 was not just a series of sports events that took place, but rather an event that was destined to happen almost 2,000 years ago. This begs the question, which prophecy has been fulfilled in the Bible, and how does the Paris Olympics tie into it? Let's find out together. The Paris Olympics 2024 was in planning for over 4 years and finally took place in July, continuing on till August. A plethora of countries sent their best athletes to win medals and glory for their nations. In the eyes of the common man, this Olympics was one of great entertainment because the competition was vibrant. But to Christians who watched the Olympics, they realized something else altogether was being fulfilled in the background. What happened at the Paris Olympics that has Christians shaken up? Well, if we start talking about how dark and demonic the 2024 Paris Olympics was, we won't get time to tell you the news that you've come here to hear. It was simply abominable. There were blatant displays of sin for all to see, and the worst part is, the crowds were cheering for these people. They had no idea that what they were clapping and cheering for was the satanic symbolism and a complete mockery of God. You may not believe us, but we can prove it to you. Just take a look at the opening ceremony of the Paris 2024 Olympics. They made a mockery of the Last Supper of Christ by bringing in a bunch of drag queens who posed in a manner that is the same as Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper painting. It wasn't even subtle. They had gone all out to make sure that the world got the message that they rejected God and spit in his face. What horrible times we live in. This tableau that the organizing committee organized was so very appalling that many people, both Christian and non-Christians, boycotted the Olympics. It was so very reprehensible. The organizing committee tried backtracking and apologized for it, but the damage to their already failing reputation had been done. What other demonic symbolism did their people try to display to the world? Will they take it even further? Well, the Paris Olympics organizing committee seems to have gotten tired of waiting for Bible prophecy to happen and took it upon themselves to try and bring it to pass. The opening ceremony featured a man clothed with a hood riding on a white horse, with the other countries riding behind him. What's the purpose of this man on a white horse dressed ominously riding before the countries of the world? What did they mean by this? You're going to be shocked when you find out. When we look at this scene from the Olympics, we should simultaneously read Revelations chapter 6, verse 2. I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow, and he was given a crown, and he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest. Now, does it seem familiar? It should. These people are trying to depict the white horse of conquest riding before the countries. They are trying to send us a subliminal message here. What happened after this mysterious white horse rider was introduced then? Well, the rider rode before all the countries down the road for everyone to see. They finally reached a stepped platform, unmounted from the horse, and climbed up the dais holding the Olympic flag in her hand. She would approach the dais slowly and hand the flag to the officials to hoist. But if you have been paying close attention, you're going to realize that there is more to this scene than you have observed. Look closely behind the Olympic flagpole. You may notice a few people standing here and there, but there's something else we all need to pay attention to. That golden calf in the background. Just look at it. It looks so very out of place, but still, the Olympic Committee intended on having it there on the dais right behind the Olympic flagpole. You're going to be surprised when you find out what it could possibly mean. We have to ask the question, what is a statue of a golden calf doing in the background of the Olympics? What it could possibly mean for Christians around the globe? Well, golden calves have always been an infamous symbol in Christian and Jewish culture, because it not only represents a time when Israel, the nation chosen by God, turned over to pagan worship, but also an actual demon known as Baal, the Canaanite Phoenician god of fertility and storms. Baal is well known by many around the world for being a god that enjoys child sacrifice and drug-fueled ecstasies from his followers. There are suspicions that followers of Baal still exist in the most elite societies. The question arises as to how a golden calf has ended up on stage out of all the artwork that may have been proposed at the countless meetings the organizers have sat through. This act that they have done seems less of a display of art and a blatant proclamation of who they worship. It is well known in the world that the golden calf is a symbol of idolatry. This action that they have done mimics the story in the Bible as to how the Israelites made an image of a golden calf out of the gold they had and fell down in worship of it. You cannot tell me that you don't see the similarities. It's right there in front of our eyes. Do you think this is just a one-off incident, and that is just a mere coincidence that they had a sculpture of a calf on the stage? You'd be wrong. Let's go back to the Commonwealth Games conducted in Birmingham in 2022. The opening ceremony of these games was also fraught with pagan and demonic symbolism, but none would be more blatant than the giant mechanical bull with a woman riding atop it. This installation of art, as they call it, was so very out of place that it raised eyebrows. Christians watching this opening felt an all too familiar sense of idolatry emanating from the bull. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it does. A large group of people surround the bull and fall down in front of it. They begin to bow and worship this mechanical behemoth, dance around it and sing to it. This scene looked straight out from the Bible, where the worshippers of Baal wailed and shouted and jumped in front of the idol of their god, trying to appease him and bring up his power. But we all know what happens when the worshippers of Satan cry out for help from their God. Our God, the Ancient of Days, comes down in fiery glory and testifies before his children that we should have no other gods before him, as he is a jealous and righteous God. Do you see a similar theme arising now? What could these blatant acts of idolatry mean for Christians around the world? What does the Bible say about these abhorrent actions being taken by the Paris Olympic Committee? The actions of the Olympic Committee to include these blatant satanic symbols featuring pagan gods like Baal and Dionysus take us back to the time Paul wrote letters to the church in Corinth, where they were behaving in a manner that was very similar to what we see today. They made a mockery of God by trying to mix their culture's gods with Christ and worshiping this man-made god of theirs. Looking at the Olympics today, we can see striking parallels, like that repulsive Last Supper tableau they did, displaying several drag queens replacing the saints, with the middle person representing a paganized form of Jesus. The symbolism used by these people is a clear hint to the fact that they are hell-bent on returning the world to its ancient ways of idolatry and pagan worship, where they engage in the most sinful and debaucherous activities in the name of their gods, and claim to be justified in doing so by worshiping the same. What really were they trying to achieve with this entire fiasco? What is the point they were trying to make? Looking back at the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympics 2024, we can see that there is a recurring theme that occurs with every march, tableau, and introduction, and it is homosexuality. We can see from the start that many of the performers and models on the catwalk are drag queens and other alternative lifestyle-promoting people. The Last Supper scene was replaced by an all-gay troupe, with the one in the middle sporting a love hand gesture. The message they are trying to send across is starting to make sense, and Christians around the world should wake up and understand the cultural agenda that is being propagated by these demonic forces. The Paris Olympics Organizing Committee is trying to change the very definition of what love is. They have understood that if they wish to make people fall more into sin, they have to warp the very fundamental feelings humans are born with, and the strongest of feelings in the emotional spectrum is love. The gay pride theme is influencing youngsters around the world to become so very self-obsessed with themselves that they should listen to every bodily urge they have, no matter how wrong it is. We know this is the exact opposite of how love is defined in the Bible. Physical love should only be permitted between a man and a woman according to biblical standards, because that is the way God has instituted it from time immemorial. But the message that so many people in the world is missing today is that the love they crave cannot be found in their own lust and desires, but rather in our loving Savior, Jesus Christ, who came down to earth 2,000 years ago and died on a cross selflessly for humanity. Now, if that's not love, I don't know what is. You can help spread truth by watching our videos until the end. Check out our other videos on this channel.